All right, sorry about that. I was having some issues. So, who I got on? So, who I got on? Well, anyway. Hey, how's it going? Oh yeah, I'm always there on for Adam. Him and Rob Vanderslice. So basically, what I'm going to be doing tonight is I've got my oil tank here, as you can see, and I'm going to be laying out some silver leaf. Um, but first, I just want to kind of give a rundown on products and that I've used uh, to do this to work on this paint job so far. So that light blue is actually a mix that I made up special for this guy. So it has super white, which is from Candie Shop, and it's mixed with the Carolina blue from Candie Shop. And so what I'm basically going to be doing tonight is I want to put a silver leaf stripe around here and then silver leaf inside the 86 here. Now, also shout out to Rob Vanderslice. I get a lot of my tapes from Rob. And he actually has some excellent flakes. Just so if you're looking for some stuff, he just picked up paint too. He's selling candies. So he's actually adding a lot to his inventory at the moment. And he's just trying to get his website updated for everything to be on there. But great guy. Recommend him to anybody. Then for my leafing supplies, I actually use Time Warp Limeline products. I got his leaf here. His brush, I don't use his roller though. I don't, but you'll see I do my leaf a little bit different than Adam does, which is all good. There's not a right way or wrong way. It's whatever works for you. But then also his water-based sizing glue. I just love being able to shoot it out with an airbrush. And as far as my airbrush goes, I actually keep a suction feed airbrush for shooting my size, and that's the only thing I shoot out of it. And it's actually an Avante from Harbor Freight. Good gun, good price. And I've actually got 3 other Avantes that I use for spraying my colors and candies. So it's a good option for a really good price. Now let's see here. As you see, I got the 86 on there. Now I've got to find, where did I put my stencil? Oh, it's right over here. So this is my stencil going on. If you see these 2 pink marks here, but we call them registration marks. That's so when I go to lay this over, I just line those squares up, and that way this will be where it needs to be in here. No real guessing. It actually works really well. So let's go ahead. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to start taking this off right here. I just want to fold it over because what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to cut the backing off here. So, might be in your way a bit, and I apologize if I am. That's pretty close. Let's come up here. And of course that did that to me. So I gotta get this paper off of here. To cut my stencils, I know Adam, he uses the Cricut. I prefer the Cameo. One's not right or wrong, just whatever you're comfortable with. They all work really well. Just try and take your time and get this laid out as smooth as possible. All right, so there we go. Let's see how it worked out here. Now, sometimes in areas like this, you'll get where it pops up just a hair, just because of the contour of this tank. We just cut that back. It'll lay right down back over it. Same thing over here. Come on this side. Okay, so as you can see, I don't think you can see it real well on there, but my 86 here is actually shifted to this side, which actually looks really nice because it gives you almost a drop shadow type effect in there, which will look really nice once it's all laid out and done. And I can take these registration marks off now. Today I went and bought these. I've been having issues. I've been noticing that I've been marring up my paint a little bit when I'm working on stuff. So I went out and bought these. They're just seat cushions from Dollar General for a whole $5. So I figured that was a pretty good investment to protect everything I'm doing here on the table. All right. So I said, what I got right here is some low tack mask. So I love using it. Doesn't give me any issues. It doesn't want to pull anything up. And I'm by myself tonight, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll do my best to keep my eye on the chat. and answer any questions anybody might have. And just for safety, I think I'll make one more go around here. All right. So when you're shooting your size, you just really only want really light coats. Now, one of the reasons why I use the siphon feed is because I can mix my size up. I have it in a bottle, and I just tape over my air holes, and it's ready for next time instead of having to mix every time I want to shoot. So that's one of the main reasons. And plus, I like a dedicated gun because since it's water based, uh, it's kind of cleaning. It's a bit different than it is for your solvent based stuff. And of course, all right. So let that sit for a couple seconds there. This fine line I got, this right here, is actually a Chinese brand that I just got off, found on Amazon. I love it. Uh, it turns real well. It cuts real well. And as you'll see, like when I lay this out, it's actually transparent. So wanting to split this line with it being transparent makes it much easier for laying that out. I personally, I never did like the green. I always thought the green tape for me, myself, was a little bit too stiff. Um, and that tape right there for the same size roll, as far as cost goes, is about, I'm averaging about $3.50 a roll. All right. Let me go throw another quick coat on here. All right, that's plenty. Now I can go ahead and start taking this tape off the outside, but I'm going to leave that vinyl for a few more minutes before I start pulling it. Like I said, I do a little bit different. I know Adam doesn't. He leaves his tape on, and he does uh, 2 layers of leaf, which for me, I tend to get uh, uh, crisper lines if I pull my mask before I lay my leaf. Hey, yeah, Josh, good to see you. Yep, getting ready to Throw some silver down, silver leaf. I'm going to let this tack up for a few minutes before I start pulling anything. Oh, another thing I got too is I picked this vacuum up uh, off Amazon. So when I start laying my leaf, all the excess that you end up brushing off, I've actually got it, and I keep it in a jar. So I've got all my different colors that go in here, and come back later, you kind of get some, break it down into smaller chunks, and you can actually lay this out, and it'll be like a mosaic type uh, leafing, because you'll have all the just crisscross different colors. It actually looks pretty cool. And I got that idea when I was at Rob Vanderslice's class, and Mr. Rodriguez, he was there, and he was talking. He's a pinstriper, and I got talking to him about the leaf, and that's one of the ways he showed me to do. Oh yeah, the leaf it floats everywhere. It's almost as bad as shooting flake. Not quite, but a few more minutes here, and it'll be ready to pull the vinyl. And for some reason, I've lost all my plastic razor blades. I can't find them anywhere, because that's what I usually use to remove any vinyl or tape is the plastic blades. That way I don't take any chance of damaging the paint that's underneath. But at least this, I've got a clear coat on it, so you don't really run that big of a risk with it. So I shouldn't be any issues. Oh, and one other thing, the spinners, I know everybody sells them, but I'm lucky enough to have a lathe sitting over in the corner. So I actually made my own, and I just bought the pads and sanding discs from Magic City. So I came out a lot better on my cost than I would have if I'd actually had to buy everything. But that, like I said, that's one of the good things about having a lathe sitting over in the corner. I got a mill over on the other side of the shop. So a lot of times I can make some things that most people can't. So I'm going to go ahead and start pulling. What I want to do here, make it more manageable. I'll cut it there. And I'm actually going to cut it here. Take your time. There's no big rush. It's like anything else. You don't want to pull your size off. And one of the reasons why, talking about my supplies, I really like using Candie Shop, and Vanderslice, and Limeline, because they're all small players in the game. So, and they've all got great products. So why not support the little guys? And that's just my take on that. If we don't support each other, it doesn't help out anybody. So I suggest, that's one of the reasons why I suggest those guys. And like I said, they do have great products. It's not just because of that. Of course, it tore on me. So just real quick, the audio and the video doing well tonight? No need to get in a big hurry on this either. You got a bit of time to work with this size here. Just take your time, make sure you do it. And all right. Looking really good. I know I can see a couple spots I'm going to have to go in with my razor and my blade and scrape back some. You can already see some areas with the leaf that are going to be kind of an issue, but just like everything, I know anybody who's watched Adam, and I'm a firm believer in this, 50% of the custom work is knowing how to fix things that go wrong. As long as you can do that, you'll be pretty good. And that just comes with experience, practice. And hey, I've only been doing this, the custom side of things, for a couple of years now. I used to paint all the time when I was in the Navy, but I always wanted to learn to custom paint. But back in the day, nobody would teach you. They would tell you is, you want to learn, you waste your time and materials learning it. You're not going to waste mine. And I had to do it that way, so you're going to have to do it that way. So it made it really hard. And with being at the Navy, in the Navy at the time too, also made it really hard because I couldn't just go get a job at a shop. So I really didn't have a whole lot of avenues to learn. Now, when you lay this down, you see I'm tapping it down. Like I said, I don't tend to use a roller. If you're going to pull a piece off, you just want to pull it real fast that way. If you don't, it tends to leave you really jagged edges. And I know I had a spot here. At least, maybe I didn't. All right. So, make sure it's tapped down really well. Okay. I thought I was going to have an issue, but since it's offset, it actually came out really nice there. So now, here's where the vacuum comes in. Yeah, I'm getting some really nice crisp edges here. I'm really liking the way it's going. Yeah, I still get little uh, pieces floating around, but it is nowhere near as bad as what it is without this vacuum. Just keep watching. I can see where I've got some leaf that's not wanting to pull up right now, which, like I said, no big deal. We can go back and take care of that. Okay, so that's about all I'm going to be able to get off with the brush, which is cool. So I just bring a microfiber in here. And this is another thing I know you don't ever see Adam doing, but I like to do. Is this will pick up a lot of your loose ends. And as I was saying, I don't know how well you can see it, but I've got some areas in here where what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin it, but I'll let it sit for a while. And then I'll go back in with my X-Acto and scratch them out. And that's one of the other cool things about doing this leaf. If you get some bleed through with your tape, things like that, it's actually really is so thin that it's not a problem at all scratching it out and getting it to the right size. Now I'm going to use my 3/4 inch spinner. And when you're spinning, I always hear everybody asking Adam, how much pressure to put in. And it's really hard to explain pressure without being able to show you and without you being here and actually it's just, I don't see a good way of doing it. So what I would say is in your mind, because I thought you had to put pretty good pressure on it when I first started doing this, cut that at least in half, what pressure you think you need. It doesn't take hardly any pressure at all to get this to spin and look really nice. So I'll start spinning this here. And what I do is I like to come to the center of my last spin, just past the center. Oh, this is, yeah. Like there, I was there, but still I want to continue out. And then I come directly under the first one, same thing, right under the center. So then on this one, I'd be about right there. There we go. Looking really nice. Now let's go about And I don't know how well you can actually see this on the video. Oh yeah, this is spinning. I like it. So, yeah, spun out really well. I get this 6 here spun out. And once you get the hang of it, it's really not a long process. All right. See if I can get you a better look at that. So there you go. Now, and I know you can't see it. One of these days, I got to upgrade my cameras. But in here, like I said, there's some areas I got to go in. I'll scratch it out, and everything will look good. Everything will look great. This time on that is straight over the paint. Because I already had it clear coated. Uh, and I this morning I came in and I did the 86 ahead of this. I'd already have it done. Um, but the rest of it is over clear. As long as you've got a decently smooth base, you're good to go. If you have anything rough, the leaf will show any imperfections. Um, so you need it smooth. And if that blue base coat hadn't laid out smooth, then I would have cleared it first. I probably wouldn't even have gone live tonight. I would have put it off. Um, I don't want to take a chance of. I just don't want to have to do it again. Nobody does. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start. So what I want is we want it 1/8 inch on this split C2 here. Like I said, it's great that this stuff is transparent. The only other problem is my lighting. It looks great on the video, but it's hard for me to see to a certain extent. And when you're laying your tape, if it doesn't lay the way you wanted it to, don't be afraid to pull it up and get it laid where you want it to go. And that's why, you just got to take your time. No need to rush things. Now, what's going to create an issue for me here. Show you here in a second. Is taping this out, because I cannot, you do not put tape over your leaf, because it will pull it up. Even once you've clear coated it, you don't want to tape over it, because at least, unless you let it sit for a week. If you let it sit for a week, then you're not really going to mess it up. It shouldn't. I'm going to say shouldn't. I'm not going to guarantee you, but it shouldn't delaminate your leaf if you wait like a week after you've cleared over it. But since I'm not actually clearing over this right now, I'm really close there, and I'll have to figure out in my head the best way to do that without going directly over that leaf. Now, like with this, making these curves, normally I would have this tank on my lap, but that wouldn't do you much good. I mean, you guys really wouldn't be able to see anything, and I'm doing my best to keep this at angles where you guys can see what's going on. Hey, thanks, Josh. I appreciate it. I said, at the end of the day, what makes me happy is when my customer leaves happy. Because a lot of this advertisement is word of mouth. The best advertisement you can get is, for me, I do bikes, pretty much all I do. So to get some nice paint jobs on bikes out on the road, and the guys that are riding them just talking you up, that's the best advertisement you're ever going to get. And said, just take your time on your curves. If they're not where you want them, you don't have to leave it. And most of this tape, you get a few turns on it before you have to cut it and start with another piece. And that's another thing, and it was probably one of the hardest things for me when I first started back in it again, painting again, is you don't want to stretch your tape. And it's easier than it sounds, but that was probably one of the hardest things for me to getting back used to when it comes to taping. Seeing actually, and another thing too, work with sharp blades. Makes things much easier, cuts your tape much nicer, and most of the time it's just a really light drag across your tape, and it'll cut it really nice. You start dulling, the more pressure you got to put on it, more chance you got to digging in to your paint underneath, whether it be clear coat, which clear coat's not quite as big a deal. But still, why do it if you don't have to? You know. But yeah, move it to wherever you're more comfortable at to get to where you need to be to get it where you want it. Which this is easier said than done right now, it seems like. All right, so there we go. So now what I want to do, I'm going to start on the outside here because I still haven't decided. I can make that, I should be able to make that turn there, but then I got to decide how I'm going to do it from there, which I'll probably do it with some paper. Get that covered. I just want to butt this up as close, as tight as you can. I'm about sharp tape or knife. There we go. And just try to keep your movements pretty much as smooth and fluid as possible. And that just makes that tape layout so much easier. Yeah, I'm out here alone. Now the turns, these turns aren't too bad here on the outside, but when you get to making these turns on the inside, and I'm way off my mark there. How the heck did I do that? Actually, in a minute, I can go grab a piece that I did yesterday. And now, mind you, none of this is in the final clear because when I do this, once I get this done, I will put a more of a production clear on. I'll sand it out. I'll look for any imperfections I can find. And all those imperfections like that can be, you can fix them at that point. And actually, you can fix them all the way up until that your last coat of clear. Um, So, like I say, there's things like that. Don't worry about it. And that, typically, most things can be fixed. Either fix it, or sometimes you can work that mistake into your design. And sometimes that's probably one of the easier things to do. And let's face it, if you're doing everything by hand, rarely is everything going to lay out flawless that first time. You're going to have a few issues here and there. That's all right. I said you just learn how to fix them, and you'll be good to go. Hey, how you doing, John? Good to see you. Well, I was talking to Rob Vanderslice the other day, and I told him, I said, I just don't have the gift for gab that him and Adam do. Something I'm going to have to work on my videos, because you watch them guys, there's not much time when they're doing their thing that they're not talking about it. Oh, yeah, John, yeah, definitely. That's one of the best ways. Unfortunately, it's one of the best way to learn, especially if you're not learning from somebody that's there with you. Let's see. I'm gonna start over here. Yeah, like I said, these inside curves can be kind of hard. Since they're a tighter turn than those outside. Like I said, just take your time, keep working it till you get it where you want it. I think I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but and guys, it's not like I know everything. Like I said, I've started getting back into custom paint about 2 years ago. I've done several bikes, so me doing these videos doesn't have anything to do with me thinking I'm better than anybody. It has to do with, I figure, like I said, back in the day, nobody teach you anything. So I figure, come on here, maybe somebody throw some pointers out that I never thought of, and if you can learn something from me, then that's a good thing. So if we don't share our knowledge, then it's just going to die out, and that's shouldn't be what any of us want. So just take your time, move it around. That's one of the benefits of doing a bike over a car. You can't quite turn a car to make it more comfortable with you. You got to figure out a way to get your body comfortable and be able to do it. Oh yeah, there's a lot more people that are willing to teach these days. And like I said, I think it's because most of them have realized that if it's not passed on, it's just going to die. I mean, I've seen a lot more leafing coming on the scene the last few years. Um, there's a lot more pinstripe classes, that type of thing. Matter of fact, I think it's this coming week. I would love to be down in Texas. Uh, Paint Cult has 5-day classes going on, and it would have been awesome to be able to go to that. And because there were this one there were different classes you could take, which most of them you're going for one thing or another. I think I probably would have hit the pinstripe is where I probably would have spent my time wanting to learn a little bit more, because I have the brushes, I have the paint, I just don't have the time to dedicate to practice to get good. And that's pinstriping, anything by hand like that. It's all about practice. Most of the guys that do it, if they're not actually painting, they're going to be practicing like 2 hours a night. And with the bikes I got coming in, I just don't have that type of time to dedicate to it, which is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm definitely not complaining about the work. Gosh, just made it. All right. Actually, John, there's actually a class coming up. He's got two, I think, but it's in Missouri. So my son is going to be moving back. I'm going to pick him up next weekend. Right now he lives out in Lincoln, Nebraska, working out there. He was working at Frontier Harley Davidson. Decided he wanted to come home, and he wants to build bikes. That's his dream. So I'm going to get him. We're going to work in my shop here. Probably try and build some bikes. See where we can get them on that. Be nice having him back, somebody to work with. But yeah, pinstripe's the direction he wants to go. I can't get him to want to learn how to paint. But so I'll probably take him, and we'll probably go over to Missouri and take the class and see how it goes. Because actually, now I'll show you this since we're talking about pinstriping. I bought the cheater tool, what everybody calls it. So this here is a bugler. You basically the barrel, you put the paint in the barrel, and you got different size wheels for different size stripes. The kit I bought comes with seven different wheels. And there's several other wheel kits out there with different sizes, and they also have several wheel kits that do dual lines. John, I'm not sure I can't remember the name right now who it is. But I know it's a bike shop, paint shop, and a tattoo shop. So the guy does tattoos and paint. So I can get with you later and let you know who it is. So let me get back on this. So where did I start at? Started back here. I'm gonna pull this center line, center tape. Yeah, I just barely did make that spot there. Yeah, John, I figured if I ain't got time to practice brushes, and yeah, everybody calls it cheating, but you got to do what you got to do. And that's the way I look at that. Now, I use my thumbnail. If I had one of my plastic razor blade, works real good. Just go along your edges to make sure you don't have any creases that are sticking up where you get bleed through. I don't think I could have got any closer right there. So now, I use paper because this tape's too damn expensive. And plus, once again, like I said, I can't really tape over that leafing. So sometimes I really hate laying this paper out. I just got to watch right there. Make sure that I don't put any tape on that leaf. No, you see a lot of guys have the paper with the tape already on it. Got a huge roll of this paper that I've had for quite a few years, and I'm too cheap to buy something else. When I got this, I can use. So you at work, John, or you at home? All right. So got that laid down there. Of course, laying this down is much easier. Ah. Just take your time going around them curves with this tape, and you can actually get it just folded. And I am going to try, even though I haven't been on in a while, I'm going to try to do every Saturday night, do something for a live. Because I got this bike here, and I should have it all finished this weekend, except for the final clear. So I'll be doing that this week. I've got a big wheel bagger project sitting here I got to do. My body guy's working on it because we got to do a lot of molding on bags. Looking at the time now, Josh, I don't think I'm going to get to the tank tonight. It's just, I haven't had dinner yet, anything like that. And about an hour now, so probably be close to about 2 hours by the time I get finished up here. So that's where I'd kind of like to leave the live off and call it a night on this. Everybody learns just like everybody else says. I want you to learn, but I don't want to take up a ton of your time. And when I am here, I want to make sure that what I'm doing is worth your time. So there we got one on there. Let it sit for a couple seconds. I've also found that when I leaf this way, and what I mean is by pulling everything before I lay my leaf, for some reason I don't have the issues I was having for a while, where you can see my edges where the two pieces of leaf would meet up, and I'm not seeming to, I don't seem to have that issue now, which is awesome because it was really annoying. Um, so yeah, I've come a long way with leafing. I'm nowhere where, I mean, I'm good, but I'm just trying to get better. And like one of the big things I want to start practicing with the airbrush is drop shadows. Um, I want to learn that, so just give it that pop to where it actually starts making things look like they're jumping out at you. That's really what I'm missing now. Um, don't laugh at me with this. Um, but this was my first try at pinstriping with that bugler. Now I can tell you, my pinstriping by hand was nowhere near this good. So, and that's going to be another one. One of my big things I want to do with that is it'll help me with my filigree. Going in and doing some nice little details inside filigree whenever I lay it. Um, what I'm spraying on, Josh, is it's called size. Basically, it's a glue. What I use is a water base. A lot of guys, especially car guys, will use Ducks. Uh, that's a brand name for a size because they have a lot more time to work with it. Here, doing small parts, my working window, I don't need a huge working window. When they're laying it on a car, when they're going front to back, they can't have something you're gonna be out of your working window for laying it in 10, 15 minutes. Just wouldn't work for them. But here on the bikes, it works great. And I have tried brushing it on. I'm not terrible, but when you brush, you got to make sure you do it good because, like I was talking about earlier, any texture in that leaf will show it. So if you don't get that the size to lay nice and smooth, it will show those brush strokes in your leaf, and you don't want that. And that's another reason why I really like being able to lay it down with the airbrush. You don't have to worry about the having the textures like that from the brush marks and that. I'm going to start pulling this outer masking off. I think it was a couple weeks ago. Was watching Adam Time Warp, and I can't remember what he was doing, but he was saying that it's easy, anybody can do it. And I have a bad habit of saying it's easy myself. Um, if you have a knack for it, it's easy. I mean, if you don't, you can learn it. Don't get me wrong, but I don't like to say it's easy to people because it depends on where you're comfortable with. I mean, people said I was somewhat of an artist when I was growing up, that type of thing. So a lot of this kind of stuff comes pretty naturally to me. And I painted aircraft when I was in the Navy. So as far as all that goes, it's not like I was starting from scratch learning how to paint. But it's not easy. But it's not something that can't be learned. I think that's the best way I could put it. Actually, I'm going to let it tack up just a little bit more before I pull that. You know, we got Josh on right now, Gas Hawk. Who else we got on right now? A few more seconds. This is another one of my hardest parts. You know, I talked about when pulling tape, not stretching it. Patience. I'm not great with that. Hey, how you doing? I couldn't tell you how much stuff I've screwed up just because I'm not patient enough to let things sit the amount of time they should sit. Not exactly the greatest quality to have in this business. Hey, I appreciate that, man. I'm trying to learn new stuff all the time. Yeah, I think I'd go out tomorrow and get me some plastic razor blades. It just didn't make me feel real good. Yeah, it's a vinyl tape for all your fine line stuff. I mean, I can work in crepe paper tape, but that's back in the day when I was painting in the Navy. That's all we had. Um, but nowadays, I wouldn't do any of this without the vinyl tape. That's who I was assuming it was. All right. So now let me make some room. I will say one thing. I wish this limelight leaf was just a bit easier to lay. The way it's packaged, it's not that it's terrible, but I've worked with leaf that's easier than this. Getting it, and where the problem is comes lifting it out of the book is where part of the issue comes in. It can be a bit of a bear. And when you see me do that, what it's called is if you see areas where you don't have any leaf, but you've got glue. I know the gilders call them holidays. So luckily, you can just pick up a piece of leaf and you usually drop it back in without a problem. Oh, I've just got just enough of this leaf to finish this job. Luckily, I've got some more, unfortunately, another brand, but it's good leaf too. All right. Let it sit for a couple seconds. Yeah, I've got Darren. I actually have a paper cutter that I'm eventually going to mess around and probably try and cut some to size. Oh yeah, Adam makes everything look easy. Oh, this is the first basically solid color, not flake bike I've shot in a long time. Yeah, I'm just gonna go in here and man, you gotta love it when it lays out that like this, nice crisp lines. This is looking like I don't even. Up there's one. But I don't even have really many spots where I'm going to have to go back in and scrape out where I had some size bleach through my tape. So that's looking really good. I don't know. See, I actually somehow I got some size there, and there you really can't see it on the video, but I'll have to go in and it'll scratch right off, no problem. All right, so that looks pretty good. Look for any holidays in here that I might have to fill in, which I'm not seeing any at all. Yeah, me and my friends, we were sitting around. We weren't sitting around. We were working, talking about part stands, and I think that's what I was looking at a few, thinking about buying, but heck, it would have been way too much. I thought they were a bit cheaper when I looked at them earlier, but they were looking at. I think it was right around, would have been around 2-3 thousand to get the stands I wanted. And I'm like, I ain't gonna do that. Oh, I'll give it back to her. Not her. It's not her makeup brush. uh, all right, so now I'll spin this. Like when I was talking about earlier, the pressure. Yeah, I am gonna make them. Uh, I don't think it's so much the pressure that makes it look good. I think I feel that it's more the amount of spin you get on them. So, about a half a spin usually is really good, I find. Then the other important thing is trying to keep it as uniform as possible. You start getting off and getting wobbly, it's not going to look great. And the other thing, too, is when you're spinning, try not to, it'll want to pull and go different ways on you. Try to keep, and that's one of the reasons why doing it wider works better because it just doesn't want to pull quite as bad. Yeah, I think it's going to look great, Josh. Like we were talking last night, it's close to being done, but really nowhere near it. I've got at once I finish up the leafing, I still got about 6 more coats of clear that are going to go on it. So, Lamer, you still collect the skateboard decks? Watch that cord. If you hit it, it'll stop the camera sometimes. May have to paint one for you then.
Bro,
Huh?
what are you doing in here?
Yeah. Hey, also you say hi to Danny, but not me, asshat.
Brother. Hey, Lima. You know what occurred to me the other day? That we've known each other for over 25 years. How freaky is that?
So now my wife's out here with me. So that's who you're hearing now.
It just reminds me of an old school. You know?
Yep. All right. Didn't ignore it. I'm trying to work. So there you go. Not finished yet. Like I said, I still got to go in. There's some scratching out there I got to do some of the leaf, but you can get the idea. They come out really nice. Let me go grab another part. So this one's actually got the clear, first round of clear coat on it. Looking really good. But it's like I said, there's about 6 more coats of clear go on top of this, and a cut and a buff, and it'll be done. So, oh, but I think that's about it for tonight. About an hour and a half. That's not too bad. If I tried to do the tank, it'd probably put me probably about another hour and a half, 2 hours out. So I'm just going to wrap it up here for tonight. I really do appreciate everybody coming in, having a look, and hope to see you again next week.
See you, brother. You chode. See you, Lamo.
Oh.